professing that it has a psychological being behind it, namely Lucifer, that there is some being creating it rather than it is a byproduct of our nature. I mean, there's altruism. I am an atheist, I'll straight up say it, and I believe in goodness, but not goodness as a thing,
right?
Goodness as an ideal.
Okay. So who creates goodness?
We do.
Good. Then if that's true, what you say, that we create goodness, what do you say to the Nazi who gasses Jews? What do you say to the white South African with his apartheid? What do you say?
And they misconstrue what good is.
According to who?
According to common decency.
Common decency. Who defines common decency? Society. So if you happen to live in America at the time of the Dred Scott decision, you happen to be African American, society says you're 3/5 the value of white folks.
Yeah,
Are you sure that you believe that society or culture defines a moral absolute?
A moral
It's
absolute?
impossible.
I don't believe in a moral absolute.
Well, you sure acted like it when you talked about great evil.
But there's just common sense.
Just
Little
common
kids
sense.
can look at.
Are we talking about white South African common sense, or are we talking about Nazi common sense? Or are we talking about Adolf Hitler's common sense, or Mother Teresa's common sense? Whose common sense are we talking about?
Common sense isn't universal. But
Good.
it changes with time.
And it changes depending upon who you're talking to,
Right. that doesn't
which
mean
means
that
it's all
idea is right.
relative. Mother Teresa's not more correct than Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler's not more correct than Adam Smith. Friedrich Nietzsche's not more correct than Jesus Christ. It's all relative according to your worldview.
No, because you're putting words in my mouth.
No, I'm not. I'm taking your thinking to its logical conclusion. That's all I'm doing. Yes, I am. Nietzsche did it, Camus did it, Sartre did it.
Logical being with just because beautiful ears wouldn't matter.
Exactly.
Well, logically,
experience, that doesn't
you can't
make it
say
any
that
better.
Mother Teresa
Like shit, I saw aliens. That doesn't
are the
make
same
it.
thing just because I am.
There's no logic in moral. Oh God. There's no.
Death is not warranted. Death is not
Warranted? According to who is death not warranted?
What do you mean? I get to say that.
You know exactly what I mean. What I mean is, if I was a moral relativist like you are, I would have to have the intellectual honesty and consistency to admit, I'm not right, you're not wrong. I'm right for myself, you're right for yourself. That's what relativism is. It's similar to, do you like beans or broccoli? It's just a taste. Do you like murdering people or raping people or feeding hungry people? It's just a personal taste, that's all it is.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not. It's called being logically consistent.
Moral relativist would say that you can't take away another's right. That is a moral universal.
Really? Defined by whom?
By us as a
Who's
society.
us? Who's us?
Americans.
You are an arrogant rascal because you're saying my definition of right and wrong is the right one. All you other guys, you're all wrong, but I'm right. Give me a break.
The idea is that God asks for blood. Like, how barbaric is that?
No, it's not barbaric at all.
It's extremely barbaric.
It is not.
Because this man did something wrong, I have to pay my blood for that.
No.
His own son's blood.
You don't have to pay for anybody else's wrongdoing. You got to pay for your own wrongdoing. I got to pay for my wrongdoing.
No, Jesus had to pay for our wrongdoing.
He didn't have to. He freely chose to.
No, he had to, or everyone was going to hell. That's not much of a choice.
Jesus Christ willingly went to the cross as a sacrifice, not a suicide, not because the Father forced him to. He struggled in the Garden of Gethsemane.
But it's not much of a choice. I think any rational human being confronted with the idea that, hey, everyone you know and love is going to go to hell unless you go die on a cross, any rational, loving human being would make that decision.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
How much have you sacrificed for hurting people?
For hurting people?
Mhm.
A lot.
Good. Keep going. But you and I both know that both of us as Americans have this incredible proclivity to hoard for ourselves and to turn a blind eye towards starving people. Let's be honest with each other. So let's not act like Jesus Christ dying on a cross for our sins is just something all of us would have done. We'd all sacrifice our lives willingly for each other.
You and your ideas are just special in the universe. In this world, they're correct. They're more correct than every other religion because they came from a certain time and place. Why is Christianity special?
Are you not arguing the same thing that I am? But I'm not going to be as hypocritical as you are by accusing you of doing something that I'm not doing. Sir, we're having an intelligent disagreement. That doesn't
I don't
mean
think we
that
are.
you think you're special. It doesn't mean that I think I'm special. We're having a discussion about what we think is true.
You think
we
you're
happen
special
to
because
disagree.
you know the truth of the universe.
Ju- you are,
special.
and you're saying I'm an atheist. Fine. An atheist is someone who says, I know reality so well, I know there is no God.
No, I no, that's wrong.
That's what
I'm
an
saying
atheist
I
is.
don't know.
Then you're
I
an
don't
agnostic.
believe there is a God.
Then
but
you're
I
an
don't
agnostic.
know.
You're not an atheist.
No.
Yes, absolutely. An atheist is someone who says there is no God. An agnostic is someone who says, I don't know whether there's a God or not. Go back and look at the definition.
Okay, I'm an agnostic atheist then. I believe by all verifiable evidence there is no God, but I can't know that because science doesn't stretch its umbrella into proving things aren't existing or don't exist.
Fine. So you have a conviction. I have a conviction.
My conviction actually
We happen to
produces
disagree.
computers and medicine.
Guess what?
And buildings. What has religion created that science hasn't created 10 times better, 10 times stronger? I mean, look at the life expectancy of the world and the population of the world. When does it start to rise? Is it with Christianity? No, it's with the industrial era. When does the life expectancy start to get longer and longer and longer? Is it when, the Council of Nicaea decided on the final draft of the Bible, kicking out all the Gnostic scriptures? No, it's not. It's the industrial area. It's machines. I mean, the peace of this world hinges not on religion, but on science, and on logic, and on understanding of each other.
All right, sir, you got to read a book called The Fate of Man by H.G. Wells. H.G. Wells made the same decision you're making. He pinned his hopes to science. But then he watched the most scientifically trained nation of the world, Nazi Germany, commit some of the most horrible atrocities imaginable. Dachau, Auschwitz, Buchenwald. And H.G. Wells wrote the book, The Fate of Man, in which he says, my faith in man, in science, is bankrupt because I have watched the most highly scientifically educated nation of the world commit the most horrible atrocities imaginable. H.G. Wells's point is, there is so much more to reality than science. It's scary. He didn't realize that until he watched the most scientifically educated nation of the world, Nazi Germany, perpetrate incredible, horrible things.
Okay.
All right? And so H.G. Wells began to realize, my faith in science is bankrupt. See, the question is not, when you go home tonight, how do you scientifically relate to your girlfriend or your roommate? The question instead is, how do you respect a human being? How do you love a human being? How do you live in relationship with a human being who at times does some pretty crappy things to you? How do you forgive? That's far more important to you than some scientific equation.
Well, to a degree. I mean, I wouldn't be
degree.
alive without science, so I wouldn't be able to enjoy those things without science. I mean, that's me.
You wouldn't be alive without science?
No, I've been a very sick individual my whole life. Like,
Okay, so modern medicine has helped you.
Yeah. So, I mean, but what about the idea of the murder rate throughout history? Why didn't Christianity, the advent of God's one true religion, lower the murder rate? Why didn't that coming about help people be more moral?
Good question.
Why is the European murder rate higher in the Middle Ages when you had to be a Christian than now when a majority are not religious?
Good question. So, the point of Jesus Christ and the Bible is that science is good. Why? Because God has given us rational minds. And we, by using those rational minds, can get in touch with reality.